What's up? Look at this. Look at this hat, man.
Yeah,
I
see,
love it.
I had to surprise y'all too, man. I couldn't let on too early now.
That is awesome, man.
Now, Black Hexagon, do I wear it well or not? Look, you're muted, I think. You're muted.
Yes, I absolutely love it. The black on black with the black curtains.
All right, here we go. Here we go. That's what I wanted right there.
What did somebody say? The funeral curtains or something?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, the executive director of T&M. I had these curtains a while back when we streamed, and he told me, he says, "You look like you're at a funeral parlor right now." So I keep bringing them back, man. I love them. That's my gig.
Cool. Well,
yeah, man.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming on. If people don't know this guy, this is Brandon from Rags to Riches. He's the man, the myth, the legend. You never know what you're going to get out of this guy. So, and then of course, Black Hexagon is, everyone knows her because she does everything and is everywhere. And, my sidekick on this show here. So, thanks for jumping on, bro. We want to talk about this new thing that is launching called the Texan Token.
Yeah.
I know there's people that I've seen a lot of Twitter stuff blowing up on it. Telegram stuff. So I want to just dive right in, man. I want to what is this thing? And let's just go for it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it, man. Let's get into it.
Real quick, I'm going to add to the stream here. I'm going to just play a video real quick, kind of introduce everybody to the Texan Token. So let's see here. I'll keep us on while we're doing it.
Yeah.
My volume out there.
To all the people of Texas and all Texans in spirit across the world. As a free and independent people, driven by love and compassion for our fellow man, we appeal to your sense of destiny, to come together, to become the catalyst for true freedom and self-determination. The Texan Token is the first endowment contract on the blockchain, which enables users to lock up financial principal to earn interest. The Texan contract features a base rate of return in tokens of 5% annually. Those who stake or lock their tokens for longer receive higher yields. Like traditional endowments, the Texan Smart Contract enables interest scraping without penalty. This feature provides flexibility for those who choose the Texan Token to secure their future. We desire for anyone from any corner of the earth who believes it is time to stand up and declare their personal independence to join together as we build a better future for our families, our communities, and our posterity. The time is now. The Texan Token is not just for those who live in the great state of Texas. Because Texas is not just a state, it's a state of mind.
There we are. So, got 25 in chat right now.
You guys turn back while you still can. It's not worth it, I promise. Maybe for T-Rob and Black Hexagon, but not this guy.
Thanks for joining, everybody.
I'm interested to know, just on a personal level, if you don't care to share. Are you guys both? I know, T-Rob, you're from Texas, right?
I am. Yes, ma'am.
Rags, are you from Texas too?
Hell no, but my mama lives there. So here, the reason behind it is Matt, Crypto Heartbeat, actually lives there, and he's the founder. I'm the co-founder. Okay. And I have some ties there. I have some familial ties to Texas, and I got a lot of friends and stuff. So, and by the way, guys, I've never worn a cowboy hat until today. Just to let you guys know.
Wow, we're like privileged then, man.
It's a first, guys. Till today. Here we go. Let's turn up here. So
I feel like everybody has some ties to Texas.
Everything, all roads lead back to Texas somehow, it seems.
Yeah.
Now I think you guys, you were on the tour, and you were at the Austin meetup, right?
Oh, I was at every meetup.
Yeah. So wasn't like the Austin meetup was pretty substantial. There were a lot of people there. The biggest, I think.
Yeah, Texas in general was pretty substantial. Houston, Dallas, Austin, three of the largest events on the whole tour. Austin may have took the cake for the largest event on the tour.
Yeah.
But all those cities showed up. There are a lot of Hexicans, a lot of crypto investors in Texas.
I love it. I love it. Well, that makes your job a lot easier for those events too, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot harder, probably. So you guys probably want to know what this thing is all about. Do you guys have any specific questions before I kind of start talking about it?
What I always say is, give me the elevator pitch first, right? Just like give me the quick spiel, and then let's dive into some questions from there.
Yep. Here's our quick spiel. What this token is, it's the first endowment token on the blockchain. And what this means is we are targeting communities with large memberships, at least 100,000 or more. In this case, for this token, we have partnered up with TNM. This is the Texas Nationalist Movement. They're the biggest political party behind the Republicans and Democrats in Texas. They have, I think at last check, they have 435,000 members. So what we're doing is partnering up with them, and our goal is to make it beneficial for them in that we are going to have a donation period where 100% of donated funds go to them. And in exchange, we are going to pretty much do what everybody tries to do. It's the holy grail, right? You want to onboard no coiners. So we have it set up to where they are going to be onboarding no coiners into this Texan token. And this is their token. This is what they're going to be using. And I just think it's a really cool marriage, targeting nonprofits, targeting communities of no coiners that have big memberships, and finding a way to work with them on Pulsechain. So that's what we're doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go ahead and field the question because I know we're going to get a lot of it, and and I just want to because I went through the website. By the way, the website is really well done. I mean,
Thank you.
99% of the questions can probably be answered on that website. So
sure.
And it's right there, texan.cc. But my question to you is, if I don't live in Texas, why the heck would I care about this? I mean, that's something I see a lot.
Yeah. And that's a question that we get a lot. So I would say the biggest thing about our project is kind of what TNM, the group, stands for. They do stand for freedom and sovereignty. In fact, we say that is the utility of this token. We see all around the world in Western countries. We see it in the UK, we see it in Australia, we see it in New Zealand, we see it in France, Germany, all these places where people are feeling like the government is getting too overbearing. Specifically, right now, we're feeling it with the money pinch. We have an economic policy, for example, in the United States of America, and a redistributive policy in many of the Western countries across the world. That it's redistributive, and it's really hurting the middle class. In fact, it's destroying the middle class. And we're not putting blame on one president. We're putting blame on all the presidents, because this has happened over and over and over and over again. So where are we stuck? Why are we in crypto in the first place? Because we're looking for an alternative. Okay. So how does this all tie back? So this organization, they are actually one of the folks that consulted with the Brexit movement. If you're not familiar with that, those are the folks, it's the UK who split away from the European Union peacefully and through negotiation. And by doing that, it put sovereignty back in the UK's hands. And it had shockwaves that reverberated outwards, but ultimately what you saw the UK maintain its sovereignty. And it gives a blueprint in a way and kind of hope for the rest of the world to be able to have an alternative way to go about things, an alternative way to solve problems, a way to push back against federal leviathans all across the world. And that's what we see. So these guys are leveraged to be able to do that. I can't speak much to exactly how that works. I would encourage people to go to texitnow.org. Some of the things that I really resonate with this organization is they focus heavily on entrepreneurialism. Okay, which we know that this is the basic economic building block of any Western society. All right, that's the entrepreneur. Indomitability. There is no challenge that can't be overcome. And guys, these are some points that are on their website that I was agreeing with, and I wanted to bring this to the table. Inherent rights. So we believe that everybody has in America the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and we don't want the federal Leviathan to get in the way of that. Individualism. This is the basic building block too. Okay, it's the basic building block of the world. We want that as well. And in family. Okay, so the basic cultural building block of Texas, and how I feel it should be in the United States, should also be the family, and they focus on those things too. So the neat thing about what we're doing, we're leveraging the kind of the power, we're leveraging the knowledge of an existing organization that's trying to do good in the world, and we're pairing that up with potentially really big adoption to Pulsechain.
Okay.
So if you're not a member of this organization, how does this impact you? Are you just buying the token?
Yeah.
Just help me understand that part a little bit.
Yeah, cool. So here's the neat thing about it. Once this thing launches, people can choose to see it as a vehicle to help the world, or people can choose to see it as just, I want to make some damn money. And we know that there's both of those people out there. We're not naive to that fact. Okay. So on one end, what you can do before Pulsechain launches, and we will be launching on Pulsechain, not Ethereum. And that's actually hold on, I get to do this, a tip of the hat to Pulsechain folks and Hexican folks and Richard Hart. I mean, we want to be loyal to you guys because you guys have helped build us, and we've helped build you, and we're in this thing together. But initially, there is going to be a donation phase, okay? And this is not a sacrifice. This is actually a donation. 100% of funds are going to go to TNM. 100%. Okay, now more details are going to come out, but you will receive points based on those donations. 100% of these funds go there. You will receive points at a $1 per 10,000 point rate. So that's how that's going to work out. So if you wanted to help them, right now before launch, that's how you would do it. And what happens after that, we've got no expectations, but that's kind of what it looks like. Hope I answered your question there.
Absolutely. By the way, we've got 41 folks in right now.
Nice.
I just want to see, like, Hex Live, you were first. Godfather J6, what's up? We got Bets in Crypto. What's happening? Got Chris in. Thank you guys for joining. And this guy over here that we have today is Brandon from Rags to Riches, and we're talking about the Texan token and what it's all about. And I just want to push people, like, with your questions, really go to the website first. I mean, I know I don't mind, and I know Brandon we don't mind answering them, but a lot of what comes around is right on the website. So go to texan.cc because you'll get most of your answers there. But Brandon, let's pick on Brandon while he's here. If you want to throw a bunch of questions at him, let's do it. So anyway, that's my spiel on that.
So what we could do, if you guys don't have any other questions real quick here, I could, I've got my screen shared. We could pop that up, and I could kind of go over the tokenomics and just things that might spur some questions here.
Perfect, man.
All right. And then I think you, at the bottom there, I think you have to allow that. Perfect. All right. So yeah, this is the Texan main page. Okay. So this is texan.cc. And what you see here, this says declare your independence, secure your future. The Texan token is a new crypto endowment token, which stands as a financial symbol of independence and self-determination, launching on Pulsechain. I want to point out that this has been independently audited. And mind you, audits are not cheap. It's about $33,000, I believe. So $33,000 for a nice piece of paper that gives us that check mark. I'd say it's worth it though.
And
so
who did that? Who did that audit, Brendan?
Syndicate. So yeah, Syndicate is the leading industry standard here.
That's like one of the best. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And here's a neat thing. If you guys haven't like done research on projects before and they have their white paper, you can actually click these audits and you can go through and you can see a very, very detailed report, the summary, the overview. You can see some of the minor and medium problems that they found. You can see some of the things that could be optimized. You can see the changes that we made to resolve all of these. So you can see all the resolutions here. And it's just a really, really neat way to kind of dive in and start researching a little bit more about the token that you're wanting to do business with, all right, and the code and all that. So I would definitely encourage people to take a look at that. Let's see what screen we're on. All right. So the next part, we've got the white paper up here. You guys will be able to check that out as well. And we've got the tokenomics at a very basic level. All right. This contract is 100% immutable. This is 100% trustless yield. There is an interest scraping function built into this contract without you having to sell your principal and without penalty. So that's pretty interesting. And this is also deflationary. So we will launch with 100% of our supply from the start. And I'll kind of go over how it is deflationary. So the token type will be a PRC20. It will launch on Pulsechain. There is a 5% annual base interest rate. And this actually goes out to 22 years if you want to stake. Now, one big question that people are saying is, well, you're just copying Hex, and Hex is 15 years, and this one's 22 years. Like, what do you say to that, Brandon? We got to understand the world that Matt comes from. If we are an endowment token on the blockchain and we're going to be targeting these nonprofits and these organizations, these guys are used to locking up money for very, very long periods of time, 25 years at a time, right? So we just kind of want to be speaking the same language when we get in front of these folks, and that was the reason. Mm-hmm. This is deflationary. So how is this deflationary? All penalties are burned. Okay, so if you end your stake early, if we kind of liken this to something like Hex, and I just want to say this too, the differences that I'm going to talk about between Hex and Texan Coin, it doesn't make Texan Coin better than Hex by any stretch of the imagination. Hex is a very well thought out, very well designed. In fact, when we were designing this, we stumbled upon things that said, oh, that's why Richard did that. It makes so much sense. So we're doing things a little bit different. It's much more simple than Hex, but that is not a good thing for us necessarily or a bad thing for Hex. We're just apples and oranges. That's all this is. So if we look at this, if you do end your stake early, 100% of the fees are going to be burned forever. That is how we get to be deflationary. Mm-hmm. We will launch with 100 trillion tokens. Okay, 97% of those tokens are going to be locked up in a contract that we do not have the keys to. The keys are destroyed and burned. So 100 trillion of this supply, 97% of that is locked up. And that kind of serves as the credit and the debit account for this whole thing. This is where stakers can go and they can lay their claim to that supply that's locked up in that 97%. You cannot touch that 97% unless you are in the staking class. So the other question becomes, well, Brandon, what happens when all that runs out? Well, guys, what happens when all that runs out is you will not be able to stake anymore until some more supply pops up. If somebody ends their stake or somebody ends their stake early. So that's how that goes. So we're hoping this is kind of like in a way, kind of like a gold rush. You go and grab yours, you stake it, you can earn your yield, and then you kind of go from there.
So I mean, 100 trillion, Brandon. I mean, that's a big supply. I mean, that's going to last. Like, I mean,
yeah. So we've modeled this. That's a good question. We've been able to create Python scripts and modeled this out, and we really stress test the heck out of this contract. And we just wanted to make sure that it was viable in the long term. You know, this could last 50 to 100 years. Make no mistake about it. And that's just kind of using traditional numbers that we have out there at our disposal. And but who knows? Maybe it could last longer. Maybe it could be much shorter if there's good adoption with this. We just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, no admin keys, like I said. 3% of that supply is going to be airdropped. The supply is going to be for donors, it's going to be for partners, and it's going to be for the team. So just like I talked about the donors, those folks are the folks who are going to be, essentially donating to TNM beforehand to potentially get that $1 to 10,000 point thing that I was talking about earlier. So and that essentially, I mean, it's really that simple, guys. There's not much to it. We wanted to make it really simple, particularly because we are targeting 500,000 people in their organization to try to bring into Pulsechain. And we wanted to try to make this as simple as possible for those folks. We don't even have many lines of code with this thing. It's very, very simple. So that's particularly the reason. That's why. So do you guys have any questions about any of that?
I guess I'm interested in as far as an organization, can other organizations benefit from this endowment process, or is it strictly for TMT? What was the name?
TNM. Yep, Texas Nationalist Movement. So
TNM. Yep.
So that's a good question. One of the cool things about this is basically gonna be their brand on this token, and they're going to be able to take this brand onto Pulsechain. And that's where people are going to go. This is not going to be, we have no plans right now to launch this on Ethereum whatsoever. The neat thing is we have a couple other organizations with actually higher membership amounts that we are talking to right now to do the same thing. All right. So now we may use the same contract. They may want different tweaks to this or that, but it's essentially going to be the same concept. We're going to be targeting nonprofit organizations with high memberships that are already well established with solid infrastructure to bring them over to the Pulsechain.
And then they would essentially have their own token or brand. So instead of the Texan, it could be
exactly
whatever else.
Yes, different logo, different name, and that would be their thing. Yep.
Using the same structure and contract type of build.
Correct. Yes, correct.
Yeah. So just to make sure everyone understands, you're not involved with Texit. That's not, you're providing the coin to make this happen, the token, right? I mean, that's really what it's about. I mean, it's not like you guys have nothing to do with Texit in general of how they do things there, but you're just providing the tokenomics for it.
We are providing the tokenomics to these folks. We're helping with the contract. We're creating these things. And then, initially 100% of those donations will go to TNM. So yes, right. We are the kind of the technology arm of this partnership. Yes.
We do have a question real quick. Brandon, do you mind taking this one?
Not at all.
How much of the supply goes up for sale to the public?
Yep. So 1% of that 100 trillion is what we estimate it will be. We're saying initially about 3%. There's no way for us to know for sure because we don't know how much could be potentially donated. So we're going to airdrop these no-cost tokens to everybody. So that will fluctuate up or down slightly. But we guesstimate that we probably won't have more than $100 million worth of donations. So about 1% will be tailored towards those people.
Yeah. Perfect. And you expect that the majority of those donations are going to come in from their membership?
I do. And one of the big concerns that people had was like, you're creating this project, you're trying to milk Hexicans for their support and this or that. And I use this illustration as an extreme example. We love Hexicans. I'm a Hexican. Matt's a Hexican. I'm not an OG. I got in 2021. Matt got in he got in much before me. But here's the thing. If we take Hexicans completely out of the equation and we're able to build a contract and we get only 10% of this 400 or 500,000 people, That's 40 or 50,000 wallets. And that's not bad in and of itself if we took Hexicans out of the equation. So make no mistake about it. This is not about milking Hexicans for support whatsoever. This is about bringing that adoption to Pulsechain. And I think that this outlines what we're doing pretty well.
Yeah. And just so everyone understands or knows that you're referring to Matt, and maybe some don't know, but Matt from Crypto Heartbeat, he's this is kind of his brainchild. And yeah, I mean, most people know him, but if you don't, you should go check out Crypto Heartbeat. Great guy, really a big Hexican that does a lot of great things for the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt, he has been in the nonprofit space for 20 years. And he kind of used 20 or 30 years. He used when nobody else was, he kind of used the internet to be able to help raise money for these nonprofits at the beginning. And he really pioneered that. And I give a lot of credit to his vision to be able to use blockchain to do the same thing here 20 years later. And I think he already has some experience in how this goes. So it's pretty exciting to definitely be a part of this as a co-founder.
Yeah. Yeah, I come from the nonprofit world. I actually love talking to Matt about nonprofit and the ideas that we have to continue to support these different type of organizations. And so if I understand correctly, to me, it sounds like a win-win for the organization and a very useful tool for onboarding non-crypto users into it. Because what I understand about nonprofits is that when you're committed to an organization, it's a regular thing that you give to this organization. So if the organization themselves are coming out and saying that we want you to support us in this way, then it's a much easier sell than just to say, hey, crypto, I want to invest. And then in the end, if it's successful, then you have actually built up your community as well, your supporters, the people that have contributed. So if that's what I'm taking away, then I really love what it is you're doing. This is a game changer for nonprofits across the country, both big and small. So well done, guys.
I'm so impressed. I'm impressed with you, because you were able to take all that information and consolidate it down into that diamond. And that's what it is. This has the ability to completely revolutionize how blockchain works. Everybody's excited about blockchain because they think they can get rich. But then when you look at Hex and you look at the amount of stakers there are compared to how much value is locked up, it's massive. It's like, wait, you can have a football stadium full of 50,000 people and have billions of dollars they have access to. Wait a minute. That's crazy. So now we're taking that to the nonprofit. And I give you a lot of credit for understanding that, because that's what we're trying to get at here.
Well, and then I just think of it as well as like, how many people is that going to bring into Pulsechain?
Yeah.
I
want to be real about it.
Yeah.
Are we going to get 500,000? I don't know. This is our test run, but if we just get 10% of that, I mean, that's huge. We got how many wallets in Hex? Active wallets, like 300,000. And we would be bringing off this project 40,000 from the jump, or 50 or 60,000 or 100,000. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh. It's pretty straightforward. I don't have too many questions. I'm looking at the chat to see if there's anything else going on, but yeah, you did a great job explaining.
Yeah, cool. There's a statement here by Mad Mike Bradley. He said, you should have picked a different name, to be honest. You boxed yourself in hard. I can understand how you would say that. I think this was before I went into explaining, but you got to understand, this is their brand and they already have the members. Regardless of us, they already have the members. So that is their brand, and they are very well, I guess, capitalized when it comes to human capital already.
Yeah. So go ahead, Black X.
I was just gonna agree that you want to stick within, your wheelhouse. If that's how the organization is already branded in a very Texan proud, this is how we present, then it can't be the Hexan, because like you said, it's not about the Hexicans. You guys happen to be Hexicans, so that kind of presents an opportunity for us if we want to get in this. But this is really about this organization tokenizing their donation process.
Exactly. And here's what I'll point out too. There's a lot of Hexicans out there that they're very militant when it comes to new projects, and I do not blame them 1 minute, because I am that person too. I want people to be tough on everything that comes through these doors, because that's what makes us special. And that's my family. You guys are my family too. I want to be straight up with you guys, and you guys be straight up with me. And so I love taking these questions here in chat too.
So here's a question, Brandon. So you spoke about scraping, which I'm very interested in, and I know a lot of people are. Could you go in depth on that and just kind of explain how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So pretty interesting thing here. You get a 5% base rate of interest every single year on any money that you have staked. Very simple there. On top of that, longer pays better. We do not have a bigger pays better. We have a longer pays better. So that kind of keeps things kind of equal across the board there, right? And again, nothing against Hex. Hex is incredible. Hex is incredible. This is just very simple for people to understand here. So longer pays better. Every year you get a slightly larger interest increase. So let's say you do a 22-year stake and you put a chunk of money in there. And let's say that in 5 years, you're like, you know what? I kind of want to scrape my interest and I want to put it in Hex and I want to do a 5-5-5-5 stake. Well, guess what? You scrape it, you go to Pulsechain, you swap it for Hex, and you create the stake. Boom. Now, what happens to your interest at that point? The interest ticker starts back at day one, but you have access to that interest. Okay? You have access to the interest, but your interest ticker starts back at day one. So it's really that simple. Very, very simple, actually. 5% every year. Every year that you stake, you get a little bit of a higher interest rate, and it multiplies over the course of 22 years. If you take the total interest yearly, it averages out to about 87%. Now, here's what's neat too. When you stake, just like I said before, it takes the principal and it takes all of the potential interest for 22 years and removes it from supply completely, and it reserves it for you and only you. And you can see the calculator. You can actually test this out on the website here. At the top right, it says connect to testnet. I want to point this out too. This is live on the testnet. We provided fake liquidity for it, and it is trading. It has been trading for about the past 3 days here. It's done so well, even though that doesn't mean anything on the testnet, but it makes me feel kind of good in a weird way. So you can go stake now. You can test it out. You can provide liquidity. You can do all sorts of this stuff with Texan Token right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you answering that.
Yeah.
Looks like we
have some good questions over here.
Yeah. Let me throw this one up here.
Yeah, cool. All right. So can you explain how the distribution phase to the public will be like? First come gets the most, or everyone pulls together and gets distributed based on your portion of the pool. So we want to create an even playing field as much as possible. That's very important for us. Now, why is that? You got to understand, on one side of the equation, we have a bunch of Hexicans that understand how this stuff works. But on the other side of the equation, we have a bunch of people that there's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah.
And this learning curve, like, can you imagine? It's like drinking from a friggin' fire hose when it comes to crypto if you've never been into it. So we're thinking about ways right now to give people time to learn this. So when we do run this donation phase where 100% of these funds go to T&M, when we run that donation, we want to make sure that we give people enough time not to be left behind. Because that just wouldn't be very fair of us. And even though, we'd like to gobble up those coins, but we're not going to do that. So the way this is going to work, it's probably, now this is not set in stone, but it's probably going to be a certain time period. There's probably going to be some sort of, bonding chart or whatever. Bonding. Shoot, I can't. How come I was talking about it all day today? Bonding curve. Yes. Geez, what's wrong with me? Brain fart. So bonding curve, there's going to be a bonding curve. We're thinking about different types of bonding curves to try to accommodate those people who might have those longer onboarding processes and not getting them left behind. So very similar to kind of what we're used to already, but we're going to tweak it to make it a little bit more fair for those folks, our neighbors who are coming into Pulsechain.
I love that. I love it. You're keeping it simple for a dumb guy like me, man. So, I mean,
well, that's good.
That.
That's a plus.
and do we know when the donation phase will start or end yet?
I'm going to say it's going to be very soon. And by very soon, I don't mean 2 weeks. Or maybe I do mean 2 weeks. Let's say 2 months. It might be less than 30 days. Hopefully less than 30 days. There's nothing really holding us back. We're just getting the details ironed out.
All right. And then likely it will go through the launch of Pulsechain or
the launch. I don't know. And that's one of the things. And you know, I love feedback from the community too. If you guys want to give me some feedback on that, how long do you think we should let this thing go? I don't know. What do you guys think? So we have a lot of ideas there.
If you're only launching on Pulsechain and not on Ethereum before, it's no reason to keep it open all the way, you know, through launch. But like you said, maybe it's some type of curve where if you wait all the way to the last minute, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe like we could do like a 90-day thing, or we do 120-day. The problem is we don't really know when Pulsechain is going to launch. Everybody expects it to be 2023, but guess what? If they get the issues fixed and it's working, Richard Hart could put out some freaking tweet, and then it's you know, it's 2 a.m. and they rang the bell at the fire station. Everybody's freaking out here. So
Briz, thanks for those questions, man. It's a good question. Hex Live, I think, is kind of the same question, but are tokens distributed even to the donators? Do any addresses get free coins?
Yeah, it's going to be very similar. There are going to be tokens distributed evenly. Do any address get any free coins? Guys, I hate to break it to you, but we're probably going to be airdropping Hexicans, Pulsechans, and Pulsechans. So, and this could be potentially a no value airdrop, free airdrop for everybody. So and that's kind of also a token of gratitude to the community that helped build us, and we're helping build the community. So we actually talked about that in depth today, and those details will be released as well. So we're excited about that.
Great.
Yep. Would that all be a part of that 3% no expectation? Or
that's part of the math. We got to make sure that, you know, we don't screw the pooch when it comes to divvying out too much, because we've already said, you know, it's 100 trillion. It's 97% locked up in that contract, 3% for everybody else. So we'll make sure the math works out there.
Cool. All right.
My husband out in the chat, Dallas boy, talking about the Oak Cliff token coming next.
Oh, Oak Cliff. Let's go, man. It is what it is. Let's try it out. So yeah, if anybody in chat has any questions, you guys can ask me now, and I assure you that any question that you have is not going to be too harsh. I want those to happen, because this is what we do. You got to stand in the middle of town square and take the heat. You got to do it.
Yeah. You know, I like, we always get this, and I know all of us here get it, is people, and you kind of addressed it earlier, Brandon, is people push back because they feel like, you know, we're taking advantage of Hexicans, or we're taking advantage of this Pulse thing. And what I want to remind people of, and not to sound harsh, but Pulsechain is built for people to build on. And I don't think people realize that. I think people just want to look at their bags and go, oh man, I got to get big bags. But if nobody's building on Pulsechain, you're not getting big bags, right? I mean, like, just I want people to realize it's like, this is only like the Texan token. There's going to be a million other things building on this as well. Right. So it's like, and I agree. I'm 100%. I look at everything that I invest my own money into, and I hope everyone does. But I just want to put that out there. It's like, these guys aren't trying to take advantage of anybody. They're just trying to build something that'll help other people.
Yeah, and let me say this too, guys. I'm not naive to think that this project could fail, because a lot of projects fail. There's a lot of different reasons for it. So if you're going to invest in something, just be careful with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm always the person that says you can invest in things. What do you look for? You look for a founder with a track record of success. I don't have a track record of success. I'm just a YouTuber. Matt doesn't have a track record of success. He's just a YouTuber. Not in the crypto world, at least, both of us. So it's risky, guys. Now, I think you could trust me. Now, I got a cowboy hat and glasses, so you can't see my eyes, so maybe not. But you got to be careful, guys, regardless, right? And be skeptical always, and no matter who it is or what's up there. So I totally get that. I want people to be questioning, but also there's coming a time very quick when people are going to have to live and operate in a layer 1 world, and that's coming very fast. Pulsechain is coming very fast, and all the things that make us great in terms of protecting our community will also make us great on Pulsechain, because we're going to be doing the same things. We're going to be questioning, and that's a very healthy thing to do.
So here's a question from Samantha Kelly. Yeah. She thought it was no PulseX. Is that true or
so
not,
yep. So Matt heard that, and he was afraid that you're going to show up to his house with a knife. So we got in a little team meeting after that, and we talked about it. And that was one of the things. It's, you can think about everything. You might just have a little slip up. We want to make sure we bless everybody. So we're going to be looking at Hexicans. We're going to be looking at people who sacrificed for PulseX, and we're going to be looking at people who sacrificed for Pulsechain. The specifics will come out on that, but we just want to win together. We want everybody to win together here.
Yeah. And if we could just clarify this percentage thing, Briss has, if I understood, it's a part of the 3%, not in addition. Did you see that comment?
I did not.
Yeah, so it's this one here. So
okay. Yep. So it's 1% of the public. Okay. So this is 3%. 1% is going to be for donors. Okay. So the people who donate. 1% is going to be for the team that we have. And we've had this team for a while, the developers, myself, Matt, a bunch of other people. And then 1% is going to be for the partner. So in this case, the partner would be TNM. I would say this. I would say that there should be no expectations, but really benevolent things happen. Really benevolent things happen with large supplies. All right, that's all I'm going to say.
If that's not a hint, I don't know what is, So let's look at this one, Rags. We're just going to keep throwing questions at you. Is that okay, man?
Yeah, please do. Rags, what would you say to someone who thinks this is a right-wing thing, as in because it's a Texan token and some people really dislike based on their biases? That's a very fair question. In fact, this is something that went through my head before I knew a lot about them, right? So I would recommend that you go to the Texan Now website, and I want you to look at their team. I want you to look at the diversity that their team is made up on. This is not a left and right thing. This is not fighting with a neighbor. This is not a political thing left and right. This is a thing where they're trying to push back against the clamping jaws of federal governments all over the world. I don't want to put too many words in their mouth. You guys check it out. Daniel Miller, who's the executive director, he wrote an incredible book about the history of these things, about the history of Texas, about the fact that Texas has been an independent nation many times in the past, and about the, just the legality of everything, and the fact that this is not a violent thing whatsoever. This is negotiation based. This is figuring out common ground and helping. So this is a very good question. The media likes to slander these sort of things in such a way that keeps people attached to the government, in my opinion. And really, we have the power to do things that most of us are not aware of. And it's all about that, in my opinion. Check that website out. I think you'll kind of be surprised about what you find.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, this is, you guys, like you said, are providing tokenomics for this organization. You can do it for other organizations. So if this is really just not a mission that you stand behind, then it's probably just not an investment that you should, go
exactly.
towards.
Yes, that's the beauty of this. You have the choice, and we're not begging, we're not milking people for support, like I said. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Briz is coming with the
Briz is on fire tonight.
Briz, I think I don't know how to say this, but you might be onto something.
Briz, thanks for all those questions, man. Appreciate that. This is a pretty simple one here. Brandon, how many developers does the project have?
Yeah, cool. Let's see here. We have 2 primary developers. One is Ray Rastelli. If you go to texan.cc and you go to about, you can see the team. So Ray has actually been with Matt for 20 years. They're best friends. And he's a developer of Matt's. And the other thing, we've got Ryan Hungate. Ryan Hungate, he is an incredible developer. He's worked for many Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies. He's a freaking all-star. I'm just going to tell you that right now. We have some other folks that are helping us out too, but those are the 2 folks that have been doxxed, and they are public on our website with their Twitters and their Telegrams and all that jazz, and their real names. So
cool. Look who just popped in here. Looks like Mr. Crypto Heartbeat himself.
Oh,
what's up?
What's going on?
Hey.
What's up? I'm behind the banner.
Let me get the banner out of the way.
Down the screen share.
I just thought I'd stop in just to check on Brandon, make sure he's doing all right.
Oh man, he's causing a lot of problems over here, man.
I think he's doing great. I think he did a wonderful job explaining what the Texan is and really giving us a great overview.
Good. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Brandon is the voice of reason on our team, so I appreciate a rational person.
Yeah, we've had some good questions from chat too, Matt.
Well, yeah, you tell Briz needs to cool it.
Yeah.
Oh, Briz.
Can you really
biz with Briz?
I love this one. Can you really trust a guy in wearing Vipers?
You can't.
Yeah, man, that's rough.
These things are biting. No, these are my target. These are $8.33. These ain't the Vipes. The Vipes are downstairs. We'll wear those tomorrow.
So, Matt, Crypto Heartbeat, most everyone knows you because you do so much in this great community. But just from your heart, because you're always great at speaking, what does this mean to you to be able to launch something like this?
Wow, that's a good question. You got to understand my background. It's funny. I told probably many people this before, but I grew up dirt poor. And what's funny is I really resonate with Richard Hart because his dad worked HVAC. My dad worked HVAC. His mom had schizophrenia. My mom had schizophrenia, which is crazy that that's the case. But I got into the nonprofit space out of college and worked for a startup that was doing stuff in the .com era. And then for the next 20 years, I built a company of about 200 employees. I ran it as CEO for 10 years, and we helped nonprofit organizations. Well, we met an investor who sold his business for $7.8 billion. It's now called CVS Pharmacy. And he helped us buy a bunch of companies. And we bought 5 different companies and built a very large fundraising agency out of Dallas. And it was in that period of time, working with large organizations to very small organizations to churches to everything. I always looking at how technology was going to impact fundraising. And I started when the internet just had started and people were like, are you sure this is legal? Can we send email to people in the fundraising world? And I spent the first 2.5 years eating peanut butter sandwiches, trying to talk him into this, running my own business. And it ended up blowing up. And it ended up, we were pioneers in basically telling the stories of the needs of nonprofit organizations for that, those years. And still, that business is still in operation. I sold, and of course, I moved back to my wife's hometown in Central Texas. And then when the blockchain came out, and I'd known about Bitcoin for a long time, but I always thought there's got to be an application of how we can utilize the blockchain to help organizations raise money. And that was always the thing in the back of my mind. Well, endowments are a big part of what sustains organizations. And so, honestly, when I saw Hex and saw the the fact that it was being used as a financial instrument, as a certificate of deposit, it had me thinking, nonprofit organizations utilize endowments, and they're very similar in the sense that they don't touch the principal, but they actually are to create a perpetuity of cash flows, because you don't want to touch your principal. You want it to work for you so that you can operate your nonprofit. And so looking at how you mimic those things, that was really the origin behind how do we mimic the functionality of this endowment. And then it wasn't until I read the book Texit, and things in this country, I mean, people asked if there was a right-wing thing and all that. I think there's a freedom thing. I think there's a lot of people that recognize that things are backwards regardless of their political affiliation. And there's some things that are upside down in this world. And when I read that book and I realized, it's not just about Texas independence. For me, it's about how do you tokenize a community? Because we're building a digital nation. If you think about what Hexico is, it's about 300,000 people who, by a miracle, believed Richard Hart's story. He calls it a meme. I call it a narrative. And they believed in this thing, and they locked up their resources. And look what we've got, Hexico. It's amazing. And so this idea that, what about these people of Texas, 26 million people in Texas, people across the world that believe in freedom, why don't we tie the blockchain to something of substance? And I'm not saying getting rich is like not a good thing to work on, but I've always felt like the blockchain was going to have implications for things like the political sphere, health, poverty, education, those type of things. And so, it's almost like, it's great. Like this first phase of getting rich is great, but how can we do it to essentially free the captives? And that's something that really inspired me with Richard's vision. And I look at this group and I go, if we're supposed to be on board, and I want to do thousands at a time, I don't want to do onesie twosies. I want to get 500,000 people in this movement. And you got to understand, this isn't just Texan for us. We've got two other organizations. One is a country, and the other is a very large organization that represents about half a continent. And we're looking at how do we set the captives free of debt slavery. And so, this may not be your project, right? You may not, politically think that it's a good idea. Don't participate. But what we're trying to do is, I want to increase not only the volume on the Pulsechain, but I want to see people have the same kind of experience that OG Hexican.
Rugged.
It was so good.
There he is.
There he is. He's back.
Sorry about that. Yeah, my daughter was calling in on FaceTime. So I'm really inspired by unlocking generosity, unlocking abundance for people. And here's the thing. The people that are in the Texas nationalist movement, the 500,000 people, these are not people in crypto. And to me, this is an opportunity for them to have something great, but you have to be able to prime a pump. I mean, to be really just flat out, transparent with you. Just because you create a contract doesn't mean you have a community. And the fact that you can have people that help prime the pump or light that wet fuse is really the key to get things started. Well, guess what happens when you get in early into a project? It can be good to be in early. And so that's why I'm so thankful for this community, because essentially what you're doing is, if you participate, is you're helping jumpstart and, in my opinion, free people from debt slavery. Whether or not Texas becomes independent, whether or not the people of Texas get the chance to vote, you're participating in something that really gives more people, potentially hundreds of thousands of people, the opportunity that you once had with Hex in the early days. And so that's where the heart of it is.
Thank you for I always love listening to you, Matt, because you just, your heart comes out, man. I know it's crypto heartbeat, and it's kind of, but it definitely a lot of heart in that. So, I mean, we've got about 5 minutes. I mean, any questions you guys want to throw at us, feel free. We've got both the gurus in here now. So if you have any questions, you can throw them our way. But I mean, I've said it earlier and I'll say it again. I love the website for how simple it is, because I feel like it's going to be very easy for you guys to onboard people that know nothing about crypto in general. And it's just going to help, our like Pulsechain and the whole economy that we're growing here. It's going to bring more value to that. So really appreciate all that effort.
Did Brandon tell you we decided to include PulseX sackers in this?
He did, man, and that excites me. That really excites me.
Well, and the thing about it too, just so you guys know, you know, we want to give back. I mean, if you think about it, this community of Hexicans, and you know, when I went to Vegas and when I went to Austin, and this experience that I've never had before, of just the love that is in the community. You know, I think it's really important. You know, Brandon was really, really adamant at the beginning that we had all of our ducks lined up. We had, you know, code written, we had audit done, we had testnet up, we had DApp complete, but also this idea of how do we thank the community? And actually, it was funny. I thought we were covering everybody, you know, OG Hexicans and all that stuff with the Pulsesac. And then, of course, all these people were like, but what if we missed the Pulsesac? And so we're going to include Pulsesac. We're going to include all Hex stakers, current Hex stakers, and we're going to include PulseX sacrificers. And it's going to be a meaningful amount. We know people are going to dump it and buy Hex. That's fine. We totally get it. But at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, we know that what this potentially can do for potentially millions of people in Texas and across the world is it's representative of a utility that's beyond just making money. It's really truly something that basically strengthens a group of people. And, you know, honestly, we haven't had the blockchain in a way that basically has a utility that has the chance to birth a new nation. I mean, that to me, that just blows my mind. And so, yeah, it's a new phase in blockchain, in my opinion, because we're applying this tool to, you know, a political end.
My new outro is going to be: do not like, comment, or dump. All right,
that's right.
When we get that airdrop.
So I don't know if it's already been decided, but is it going to be an airdrop where it just appears in the wallet, or will there be like a claim process?
Yeah, so good question. Very good question. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually pull down the blockchain, right? And what we're going to do is, and this is the interesting thing, I'm going to give you a little insider alpha here. You know, we're only going to take each individual wallet. Okay, so if you sacked with one wallet for Pulse and then for Pulse, you only get one airdrop. You don't get two. And so it's not multiples, it's individual wallets. Now, this is the alpha. Some people have used multiple wallets and they're going to get multiple airdrops. So if you sacked with one wallet to Pulse and one to PulseX, well, you're going to get lucky because we can't differentiate, and so we're going to give it to both wallets. But at the end of the day, you'll come to the claim site. You will basically say, yes, I'm here. You know, you're raising your hand, and that puts you into the airdrop, and then it will appear in your wallet when we do the airdrop. So it's essentially, it's not a direct claim. It's more of a, you know, because a lot of the people may not be around, right, that sacked. And so, you know, you do have to quote unquote claim it, but it won't appear until after the Pulsechain launches, of course. And we do the airdrop.
Nice.
Okay.
And so you're saying that it's just, you just need one of the three qualifying factors. It doesn't matter if you have more in one or the other, as long as you've either staked or sacked for either Richard Hart product, then you're good to go.
Yeah. And you know, it's there's no way the sneaky alpha is, you know, some people will receive double because they use different wallets, and we just can't differentiate that. So we're just going to honor those.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So Sandy Beach, thank you for jumping in. Yes, that is correct. And we'll take one more question, and then we probably got to get off because these guys are busy, I know, and trying to spend time doing other things. Will you support people who sack with Staker app?
Yeah, that'll be on chain.
Yeah, as long as it's on chain.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else as closing, guys, that you really want to, you know, say about this or that we haven't covered? I think you both have done a really great job, and I think we're all more educated now on it for sure.
No, I mean, Brandon and I are going to be talking about it every day, Monday through Friday, probably for the next, 2 years. So if you got questions, you know where to find us.
Yeah, win Pulsechain. Nobody knows that, buddy.
That's right. That's right.
Nobody knows that.
Well,
but yeah, I want to say, go ahead.
I've got one thing I just wanted to share with you tomorrow. So there's been some new developments in the Texas independence movement that are going to be talked about tomorrow on my stream. I'm going to have the executive director of the TNM, Nate Smith, come in tomorrow, and he's got some pretty exciting news because I'll let him share that tomorrow. But it's pretty exciting as far as referendum is concerned. And if you're interested in the political aspect of this, which you don't have to be, because the contract is the contract and the organization is the organization. We're supporting them with a fundraising effort through a donation phase, but he's got some good information to share tomorrow if you're interested in that stuff.
Cool.
Awesome. And if there's anybody out there that's interested in just kind of being a part of the Telegram team, we need somebody from Australia. We need somebody from that side of the planet to take care of the night shift. So just hit me up directly, and I'd love to talk to you and see if we can help folks out here.
Great, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on. You two do a lot of great work, and this is just another step in that same direction. And I know I appreciate all that you do and do for our community, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here with this thing.
Likewise. I appreciate what you guys do. It takes a team, right? I mean, Black Hexicans all across the world.
Oh man, yeah.
Right. I mean,
we need to clone her.
So
you guys have a good evening. We're gonna jump out of here unless you got something, Black Hexan. You got anything you want to throw at anybody or?
No, just come visit me at ksb.tv, my YouTube channel, and our website for all the events we have coming up soon with the Million Post Tour.
Yeah, and go check out texan.cc for more info on what's going on with this. And there's the links, the Telegram links there too, right, guys? That they can follow. Yeah, I would suggest going to Telegram. If you have more questions, jump on there. And there's people on there that definitely can help you with any questions you may have. So thanks again, guys, for coming on. And we'll see you, I'm sure, tomorrow, maybe even later, right?
All right.
Take care, guys. Have a good evening.
Much, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So that was cool. I'm definitely more educated on this. And I kind of knew, parts of it, but it's nice to get it from the people that are actually building it. So
yeah,
I
learned a lot. I knew nothing about it before the stream, so I feel very informed. So that's a job well done.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for your time, and don't work too hard.
Good night.
See ya.